What's up guys, it's Oblivious Gamer here, and today I just wanted to talk briefly about an interview that IGN actually had with the CEO of Arc System Works. Now this interview happened during EVO, so it's like 2-3 days old, but it has recently caught up to a lot of people and they're talking about it because there is some important things that were said here. It's no secret that Arc System Works has created amazing fighting games. Of course, they have their own IPs like Guilty Gear and BlazBlue. However, they have also now been collaborating with other companies. An example being Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is obviously the IP from Bandai Namco Dragon Ball. You had Granblue, and of course recently DNF Duel with Dungeon Fighter Online. However, it seems that Arc System Works wants to do even more collaborations. Now, before I continue, if you like the content, don't forget to subscribe. As I mentioned before, it's no secret that Arc System Works has created amazing fighting games for years. And just a couple of years ago, they have been more on the map by people or the general audience, mainly because of a fighting game called Dragon Ball FighterZ. I feel Arc System Works was known if you were part of the FGC or if you play, anime fighting games, because Guilty Gear and BlazBlue both were amazing franchises and are still amazing in their own right, depending on the game that you play, but they were very niche. However, when they collaborated with Bandai Namco and managed to do a Dragon Ball fighting game, I feel that catapulted the company into a lot more eyes, to the point that a lot of people are now saying, man, I wish ArcSys would do this fighting game, or I wish ArcSys would do a Naruto fighting game or a Bleach fighting game, or any kind of thing, just because of the quality that they can do, because the games look super beautiful and also because they're fun. Now, I also feel Dragon Ball FighterZ helped Guilty Gear. Now, Guilty Gear Strive just recently, after over a year, reach 1 million sales, which in its own way, it's amazing. This is probably one of the most sold Guilty Gear game ever. However, and this is not to damper, but this is just to compare, Dragon Ball FighterZ did a lot more sales. A lot. Obviously, the big impact is the IP, being Dragon Ball. However, thanks to that, a lot of people became more aware of Guilty Gear, which has helped with the sales. Of course, the game is fun and blah blah blah. So we have that already built. Now, as I mentioned, IGN had an interview with the CEO of Arc System Works, Minoru Kitooka. I'm hoping I'm saying it correct. And in this interview that they had, he mentions this: we need to expand fighting game communities through IP. Kitooka told IGN, in the future, if we have such an opportunity, we're actively pushing to collaborate with new IP owners. So basically, that means that opens the door for, as people have been saying, a One Piece fighting game, a Bleach fighting game, any sort of Shonen Jump IP you could think of, or any IP that is also famous here in the West, that will help expand, fighting game communities, which is apparently one of their goals, at least with this. Obviously, Granblue Fantasy and Dungeon Fighter Online has helped with that goal, but I do feel through and through, Granblue Fantasy and Dungeon Fighter Online are not as big in the West as they are, for example, in Asia. That's just my take. I know, for example, Dungeon Fighter Online is a lot more famous in Asia compared to here in the West. So this means a lot of stuff is in the table. Hell, people have been saying a Marvel game by Arc System Works, which with the way that Marvel has been handling and giving their IPs to other companies, it is possible, as the IPs no longer bind to a single company. And I don't think Capcom wants to try another Marvel vs. Capcom after Infinite, even though we would love to see another Marvel vs. Capcom, but just because of what happened with Infinite, the sales and the reception, I don't know if that's ever gonna happen again, at least for now. Now, don't fret. I know there's a lot of you guys are gonna be like, well, but what about their IPs? Are they just gonna start focusing on IPs from other companies? And well, Kitooka also says, I have a plan. said Kidoka. His first priority is expanding Guilty Gear Strive, but beyond that, he is constantly thinking about the new generation of fighting games, and BlazBlue could be part of it. He also said that the BlazBlue IP has a lot of possibilities in genres other than fighting games as well. So yeah, they're also thinking about their own IPs and expanding it beyond fighting games, though I feel that's a bit of a mixed bag. Arc System Works has done other things beyond fighting games 100%, and like I said, it's great that they want to experiment. BlazBlue could work magnificently as other things than fighting games due to how the plot and the characters are. An example that we have seen is they did a gacha game, but that of course didn't do well. However, there is a game that's being developed by another company that I mentioned before that has their IP, and it seems to be like an action roguelite. But for me, like I said, I feel that's a mixed bag because you also have games like Guilty Gear Overture, which is not a fighting game. They try to do a mix of RTS and like it's not that great in my opinion. It's not that good. So you also have those types of games, and I'm like, well, it could be interesting, but at the same time, it could be a mess. We have to see. But it is great in the end that they're thinking about not just collaborating with other people, and they know that the collaboration will help them get their name out there and also will help expand the FGC because more people are willing to play, an IP that they know more than something that they are not too sure about. Like Dragon Ball, again, going back to that. A lot of people are more willing to jump to Dragon Ball FighterZ even though they don't like too much fighting games because it's a Dragon Ball game versus, telling them go play BlazBlue Central Fiction or go play Guilty Gear Strive, which for them might be, I don't know these IPs and I'm not too big of a fighting game fan. And also, it's great that they still want to focus on their own IP, so we don't have to be concerned for those that are fans of, BlazBlue and Guilty Gear, that they still are thinking of those IPs and they still want to make them bigger. So yeah, I think it's great what was talked here. Really interested to see where Arc System Works is going to head from here. We haven't had a BlazBlue game in quite some time. I mean, CrossTag was its own thing, but a new thing, we could say. I'm wondering what else are they planning on working. They recently released DNF Duel. Of course, they're still working on Strife. So I'm wondering what is their next big thing from here. As always though, it's not just about me. What are your thoughts, guys? Feel free to leave them down below. This has been Oblivious Gamer, and I hope you'll have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.